Forget your vitamins. Forget your gym membership. Forget dignity. Because in the Roaring Twenties, if you were rich, old, and feeling a little deflated, the hottest ticket back to virile youth wasn't a pill. It wasn't a potion. It was surgery. Specifically, surgery involving monkey testicles. Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about slicing bits off primate gonads and sewing them onto human ones. Why? To reverse aging. To get that youthful oomph back. This wasn't some back alley quackery performed by a dude named Steve in his garage. This was the revolutionary, world-famous procedure pioneered by Dr. Serge Voronoff, a celebrity surgeon swimming in cash, hailed by thousands as a miracle worker. Millionaires, movie stars, maybe even your slightly too energetic great-grandpa, lined up, wallets open, scrotums. Ready? How did humanity collectively decide that monkey balls held the secret to eternal youth? Was there any science? Or just pure, unadulterated nutsness? Let's grab our scalpels and dive into the bizarre, sensational, and deeply questionable story of the monkey gland cure. Okay, context time. Why were people so obsessed with not getting old around the turn of the 20th century? Well, several things collided. Firstly, science was awesome. We'd just gotten electricity widely available. Cars were starting to appear. Airplanes were taking flight. It felt like anything was possible. If science could conquer distance and darkness, surely it could conquer aging? Old age started to seem less like an inevitability and more like a problem science hadn't solved yet. Secondly, the brand new field of endocrinology, the study of glands and hormones, was making tantalizing discoveries. Scientists were realizing these little organs inside us squirted out powerful juices, hormones, that controlled basically everything. Growth, mood, metabolism, energy, and yes, sex drive. The thyroid, the pituitary, the adrenals. It was like discovering the body's secret control panel. And the glands everyone really cared about. The ones linked since time immemorial to life, vitality, reproduction, and all that youthful pizzazz? The gonads, testicles and ovaries. The logic, though flawed, seemed simple. Old age equals glands slowing down. Solution? Get new glands. Or at least, get a boost from some younger, more vigorous glands. This wasn't totally out of left field. Glandular therapy was already a fringe concept. Back in 1889, an elderly, respected but perhaps slightly desperate physiologist named Charles Edouard Brown-Séquard caused a global sensation. He announced he'd rejuvenated himself by injecting extracts made from the crushed testicles of dogs and guinea pigs. He claimed his physical strength, mental clarity, and even the arc of his, urination had dramatically improved. The public went wild. Elixir of life, the headline screamed. While mainstream science eventually dismissed it as pure placebo, the extracts likely contained no active hormones in meaningful amounts. The idea caught fire. Animal glands might hold the key to human youth. Stepping into this fervent atmosphere was Serge Samuel Voronoff. Russian-born, French-trained, a student of Nobel laureates, Voronoff was undeniably a skilled surgeon, but he was also fiercely ambitious, incredibly charismatic, and possessed a talent for self-promotion that would make modern influencers blush. He wasn't content with just fixing hernias. He wanted to change the world, conquer death itself, and maybe get obscenely rich in the process. His time as a physician in Egypt in the late 1890 seconds proved formative. He meticulously observed the eunuchs serving in the Khedive's court. He noted, or perhaps convinced himself he noted, that these castrated men seemed physically weaker, aged faster, and lacked the mental drive of intact men. This became his foundational belief. Testicles equals the engine of life. Lose them, and you lose your vitality. He returned to France and began experimenting. He claimed great success transplanting testicles between animals. Grafting young ram testicles onto old rams supposedly made their wool thicker and restored their romantic interests. He grafted bull testicles onto older bulls to make them studlier. Were these properly controlled experiments? Probably not. Did they generate impressive headlines and build Voronoff's reputation? Absolutely. His grand theory solidified. Aging is merely the failure of our glands. The solution? Xenotransplantation, grafting vibrant, youthful animal glands onto aging human ones to recharge the system. But which animal? Voronoff dismissed lesser creatures. He needed our closest relatives, our primate cousins, monkeys and apes, particularly chimpanzees and baboons. Their glands, he reasoned, would be most compatible, most potent. Around 1920, he unveiled his masterpiece procedure. Not a full transplant. He knew that wouldn't work, mostly. Instead, a graft. 1. Acquire a healthy monkey or ape. We'll discuss the acquisition later. Surgically remove its testicles. Freshness was key. 3. Slice the primate testicle into paper-thin sections, like deli meat. Maybe 2 to 3 millimeters thick, 5 to 6 centimeters long. 4. Make several small incisions in the patient's scrotum. 5. Carefully insert these monkey tissue slivers and graft, sew them onto the surface of the patient's own testicles. Sometimes he'd graft bits into the abdominal muscles too, for good measure. 6. Stitch the patient up. Send him home with promises of renewed youth. Voronoff's scientific explanation was a mix of early endocrinology and pure fantasy. He claimed the grafts would integrate, develop a blood supply, and then continuously release potent monkey hormones and mysterious stimulating rays or ferments that would revitalize every organ in the body. Brain, muscles, everything. It sounded high-tech, cutting-edge, almost plausible. The effect was electric. Voronoff's wealthy, aging male patients came back singing his praises. It was a miracle. Reports flooded the press. I feel 20 years younger. My memory is sharper than ever. My eyesight improved. My energy levels are through the roof. And, whispered in gentlemen's clubs, my performance is magnificent. Was any of it biologically real? Almost certainly, no. Modern science tells us those grafts would trigger an immune response and be destroyed or encapsulated as foreign tissue within days or weeks. They couldn't possibly function hormonally long-term. So what was happening? The almighty placebo. This was likely 99% of the effect. These were rich men paying a fortune, thousands of dollars per operation, for a highly publicized miracle cure from a world-famous doctor. The expectation and belief were immense. Lifestyle factors. Post-surgery, these wealthy patients likely rested, ate well, and felt generally optimistic, contributing to a sense of well-being. Voronoff's charisma. He was a master salesman, radiating confidence and success. His conviction was contagious. But belief is a powerful drug. The demand exploded. Voronoff became the world's most talked-about doctor. His Paris clinic was a revolving door of the global elite. Aging industrialists, politicians wanting an edge, artists seeking inspiration, actors fearing fading looks. He performed over 500 operations on humans in France alone by 1926, and his disciples set up shop across Europe and America, performing thousands more. Waiting lists stretched for months. He reveled in the fame and fortune. He purchased the stunning Château Grimaldi on the Italian Riviera, transforming it into a luxurious clinic and personal palace. And, in a move straight out of a Bond villain's playbook, he established his own private monkey farm on the Château grounds. Dozens, perhaps hundreds, of monkeys and apes, imported specifically to be walking, screeching organ donors. Animal welfare wasn't exactly a priority. One chimp reportedly cost him 30,000 francs. The operation was a vertically integrated machine fueled by money, hype, and primate parts. Voronoff wasn't shy. He published books, gave lectures, courted the press. His work became a cultural phenomenon. Jokes abounded. Have you heard? Old man Moneybags is acting awfully frisky since his trip to Paris. Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, was reportedly a believer. Poet W.B. Yeats underwent the procedure, hoping it would reignite his creative and other fires. Chicago surgeon Max Thorek championed the procedure in the U.S. For a wild decade, it seemed Voronoff had truly cracked the code to rejuvenation. However, behind the glitz and glowing testimonials, the real scientific community remained deeply unimpressed, bordering on horrified. Where was the data? Voronoff's proof was anecdotal, enthusiastic letters from rich patients. He offered vague, unproven theories about revitalizing ferments, but dodged rigorous scientific scrutiny. Critics, like Dr. Morris Fishbein of the AMA, began firing back. Rejection. Rejection, rejection! Basic immunology dictated that tissue grafts between species don't work long-term. The human body violently attacks foreign tissue. Those monkey slices weren't releasing hormones. They were being destroyed. Where are the controls? Voronoff never conducted proper scientific trials. No control groups getting sham surgery. No long-term, objective measurements. It was all subjective self-reporting from highly motivated patients. It's the placebo, stupid. Skeptics hammered home the obvious explanation. The immense power of suggestion, especially when coupled with a high price tag and celebrity endorsement. Endocrinology marches on. This was the killer blow. While Voronoff was busy slicing monkey bits, real endocrinologists were making actual progress. By 1935, scientists had successfully isolated and synthesized pure testosterone. Suddenly, Voronoff's entire rationale collapsed. If you wanted the effects of testicular hormones, why risk bizarre surgery with primate parts of unknown dosage when you could get a precise, clean, effective injection of the actual hormone? It made the monkey gland procedure look like medieval bloodletting overnight. The criticism grew louder and more specific. Voronoff's results couldn't be replicated. Patients who initially felt great often reported the effects wearing off suspiciously quickly as the placebo faded. The jokes turned sharper, the scientific articles more damning. Author Aldous Huxley mercilessly mocked gland therapies in his 1931 masterpiece Brave New World. The scientific consensus was clear. Voronoff was, at best, a self-deluded showman, and at worst, a dangerous quack preying on the vanity of the rich. Voronoff fought back, publishing defiant articles, but the magic was gone. The discovery of synthetic testosterone made his procedure obsolete. His rich clientele, embarrassed or simply moving on to the next anti-aging fad, stopped calling. The press, once his cheerleaders, now treated him as a curiosity or a joke. He desperately tried to stay relevant, pivoting to even stranger ideas. Monkey ovaries for women. He performed similar grafting procedures on women, using female ape ovaries, promising restored youth and fertility. Unsurprisingly, it failed completely. The ape-human workforce. In his later, weirder years, he even speculated about using ape gland transplants to create a docile, physically strong hybrid race to serve as manual laborers. Seriously, yikes on bikes. The outbreak of World War II further eclipsed his fading star. As a Russian Jew living between France and Italy, he became a target. He fled the Nazi advance, losing much of his fortune and prestige. He spent his final years in Switzerland, a shadow of his former celebrity. When he died in 1951 following complications from a fall, ironically, perhaps needing some rejuvenation himself, his passing went largely unnoticed by the world that had once hung on his every bizarre pronouncement. His monkey farm was gone. His castle of youth sold off. The monkey gland craze had officially died. Not with a bang, but with an embarrassed whimper. So what do we make of Serge Voronoff and his infamous monkey glands? Was he a monster? A misunderstood genius? Or just a very, very convincing salesman? Probably a bit of all three. His story is a 5-star, gold-plated example of pseudoscience gone wild. It perfectly captured the zeitgeist of an era obsessed with youth, terrified of aging, and dangerously naive about the promises of nascent science. People wanted a miracle so badly, they were willing to believe injecting monkey testicle juice was the answer. It's a powerful testament to the placebo effect and the potent influence of celebrity doctors and media hype. Voronoff sold hope, wrapped in confusing scientific jargon, and the desperate and vain bought it wholesale. The fact that it involved monkeys and testicles just made the story irresistible. And while we might laugh or cringe at the absurdity today, the core human desire that fueled the monkey gland craze, the quest to cheat aging, enhance performance, and recapture lost youth, is arguably stronger than ever. Just scroll through Instagram or TikTok. We've swapped monkey glands for cryotherapy, activated charcoal, jade eggs, vampire facials, and a million unproven supplements promising eternal vitality. The methods evolve. The pseudoscience gets fancier marketing, but the fundamental hope and the potential for expensive disappointment, or worse, remains. The tale of Dr. Voronoff serves as a bizarre, slightly hairy, and surprisingly relevant cautionary tale. Be skeptical of miracle cures, do your research, and maybe, just maybe, think twice before letting anyone sew animal parts onto your delicate bits.